So, without wasting any time, in this video I decided to illustrate to you how going to the gym can help you live a better life. First point which I want to present to you is a boost of self-confidence. Many people, especially in their earlier years, are very sad about their current position in their life and how they live. They believe that their abilities are very limited, which they even for the most part actually are if you think about it. But with going to the gym, one can experience a massive gain of confidence. If you strictly go to the gym in an orthodox way at least, of course. I mean, of course, results aren't immediate, but with some time, for instance, half a year or even an entire year, you may be starting to feel happy about yourself. I mean, think about it, 1 year is actually not that much in comparison to what you do on a daily basis. Like, most people play games for a couple of years and they never notice it. So, you have to comprehend that doing this will actually give you a new experience. You're not doing something just for a strict dopamine rush and a concurrent time. You're doing it for yourself and to gain more self-confidence. So actually, concluding from our first point, you may already guess what the second one may be. It is attractiveness. Nowadays, the media may tell you that an aesthetic physique is not attractive. But out of experience and analysis of other people's experiences, like Hamza's, one may be able to quite easily tell that this is not really true. You may be able to tell that this is not really true. After all, in your mind you have to imagine, what would a girl be attracted to? Someone with no self-respect, and a fat or lean body with no muscles. Or someone who changed his body with lots of effort to achieve ultimate greatness for himself. If you do this, I believe the answer is very clear, isn't it? So, for a third point, I would say it's rather for biological or benefits or health actually. We all know that somebody which looks after his body or cares for himself gets to live a healthier life. Because, be honest, are the dopamine rushes which come through sitting all day and eating unhealthy foods really worth the aftermath which follows? Is it really worth to make your future self suffer or die earlier just because you were lazy even beforehand? Of course not, is it? And if you realize that, then you're already on a good path to self-improvement, I must admit. Another argument, speaking for working out at a gym, is that you start to respect life. You start to understand the hardships of life, which is really important for your later self. This point is especially important for young individuals which are thinking about going to the gym in this concurrent point. You start to comprehend that all the hard work which people have put to achieve their physique and their body. You start to comprehend that these people have actually submitted lots of effort to get their body, and this is a really important step. After all, appreciation is very needed in our current society. You also may stop believing the black pill if you do in the concurrent point. After all, it dictates that everything is only based on genetics. I mean, technically, it isn't solely off, but in the end of the day, you could have amazing genetics and never work out and stay the same. When a person with bad genetics, which works out every day, will get a much better body, and he pushes through hardships, whilst doing that. This also teaches you the way of being a proper man. Life is not always fair, is it? Now, as a fifth point, I want you to reflect on what you've been doing the entire day. Now, if you respond and giving in to urges and playing games, doing nothing productive, this point becomes even more relevant for you than anybody else. I mean, how can you live a good life if all you do is sit and play games all day and watch social media and enjoy yourself? How can you experience the reality of pushing your limits and actually doing something? How can you start being responsible? How do you imagine a later life if you cannot even get up to train and become a real man? How do you think a later relationship will look if you cannot even get up for something which improves your quality of life in every way possible? As a continuation, I want you to self-reflect again. What is a man with no goals or thinks he does? What would a bodybuilder be with no goals? What would a current CEO be if he did not desire to achieve a status and strive with all his might to achieve this? How does someone achieve something without actively trying to achieve it? It's not an accident, is it? This concept applies to everything in life. You can't just expect a miracle to happen, because the sad reality is, most likely it won't. So this is why I want you to practice setting goals and pulling through to get to them. This way, you may get an introduction to what a successful man does on a daily basis. Finally, out of experience, many people are addicted to certain things like drugs, alcohol, or even social media and playing games. These are all addictions after all, let's be honest here. Now what I have witnessed of people which go to the gym is that they start to understand how bad it actually is, and how it could negatively influence your later life and even your current life. They start to shift their attention to self-improvement, the desire to become the best self you can be. This way, many people I know have stopped smoking or wasting their life scrolling through social media and making their brain rot to extinction due to the bad consumption of content and dopamine rushes. After all, dopamine rushes were never supposed to be something as easy as just scrolling through the next TikTok. They were supposed to be something which is basically a reward for something you strived hard to achieve, like setting a goal and actually achieving it. So, these people start doing something which is called delayed gratification. This concept defines that you would rather eat the candy later than earlier. This concept makes you just not satisfy your current self, but rather your later self, which is definitely for a good cause, as you might already be able to tell. It's kind of a method of discipline. So, to end this on a summarizing note, I hope that these points have inspired you to try to go on a path of self-improvement and go to the gym. Thank you for listening.